Again, this is BayTran's weekly webinar series, Connecting Our Region. I'm Teresa Rodriguez, President of BayTran, and we've got our BayTran Chairman, Carl Joyner, and Harris County Commissioner Adrian Garcia from Precinct 2. And so welcome back, everybody. We just want to let you know, Commissioner, BayTran is in our 30th year as an advocate for infrastructure and mobility improvements in Harris County, that's East and Southeast Harris County, Brazoria County, and Galveston County. And through the pandemic, we've been hosting a webinar series connecting the leaders of our region to let us know how COVID is impacting their communities and how we move forward with transportation and infrastructure projects as a means of getting us a jump start back into our economic success. So, Carl, if you want to say a little bit about what we've been doing.
Yeah, so Commissioner, we're really trying to already start organizing for the next legislative session and trying to get as much for transportation as we possibly can. And anyway, we really appreciate your joining us today and hope that you will work with us next year as we put together our legislative agenda and move forward with trying to get as much of our dollars to this area. So again, welcome, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say today.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yes, and so, you know, let's go ahead and start and just kind of an update on really how COVID has impacted Harris County and specifically Precinct 2 in terms of, you know, the economic impacts as well as the impacts to your community members. If you want to start there, and then we'll kind of keep going with the conversation.
Wonderful. Well, first of all, I apologize. I'm still doing the technical stuff here, but it's good to see you, and thank you all for what you do to advocate for our region. And because you understand East and South Harris County and that region so well, then you recognize the fact that, you know, we have the Port of Houston, we have NASA as key amenities to the region, but especially to Precinct 2. So those are always on the forefront of my mind, in particular the port. We have so much coming and going through there that we need to ensure its continued success. That's why I remain committed to deepening and widening the port and ensure that we get that done sooner rather than later. Too many other ports around the area are chomping at the bit to get our business, and I won't have it. So I, you know, appreciate all the work that you do to ensure that we continue to keep our region strong and those amenities like the Port of Houston to continue to be the economic juggernauts that they have historically been, and make sure that we remain relevant going into the future. Obviously, this pandemic is creating a lot of new norms. And, you know, I can't wait to see you all in person so that we can hug and shake hands and have fun together and enjoy meals together like we used to. Unfortunately, that is not the case at the time being. And so I would just continue to urge everyone to continue to use these and to do all things to keep us safe and healthy so that we can really get out of this pandemic and make sure that our loved ones and our children in particular are as safe as possible. But to that end, Teresa and Carl, I would just tell you that your focus remains mine. It is why during this pandemic, I have given so much attention to our small businesses. I started the first recovery project with a small business loan program, and then we have now done a small business grant program, and we are doing rental assistance, focusing on those that we don't think about as businesses, but they are. It's our landlords. And so we have been working to make sure that we put our CARES money to work. Obviously, everything that we do is but a drop in the bucket in terms of the pain that exists out there. You know, when we launched our small business loan program, I had no idea what the response would be. I thought it would be obviously pretty good. You know, I put $10 million on the table. 10 million could have helped approximately 500 businesses across Harris County. Yet we had 7,000 applications for 152 million in assistance that was being requested by area businesses. Just incredible, it blew me away. And every time we have launched a program, whether it's direct assistance, whether it's been our next small business grant program, or whether it's been our rental assistance, we have all, in every circumstance, gotten more requests than we have gotten, or than we've had money available to disperse. So it tells us just exactly the pain that's occurring out in the economy. And that's why working with BayTran is so critical. And that's why when you hear stories about our refinancing of the Harris County toll road, it's unique by any stretch of the imagination for Harris County, but it's not new. Other areas across the state and across the region have done similar things, but it's simply just taking money that we have in a savings account and putting it out on the street to put to work, but with at least my commitment to ensure that it remains focused on infrastructure and roadway related projects, to ensure that we're reimagining, better yet, what the toll road is and how we should work together to ensure that freight traffic coming out of the Port of Houston has better infrastructure, so that they're not stuck using one point of access or egress out of the port, but ensuring that we have a roadways that can sustain our commercial freight traffic. That's always been critical to me coming in as the commissioner of Precinct 2, because I recognize that as long as that freight stays at the port, it's making the price go up at our stores, and I don't get my nice shampoo at my home as quickly as I need it. So we got to get that freight moving. We got to get those products in and out, and we got to remain relevant. And so time is money, and we got to make sure that we are doing all that we can to ensure that our port remains relevant. So where I look to see into the future in terms of what happens with the toll road is to ensure that that money is working on the street, not simply accruing interest. I want to make sure that that money is creating jobs, supporting area businesses, and at the same time, strengthening our infrastructure. And so that is something that I'm excited about, and we'll continue to see how that moves forward. But simply to say, because it is new for Harris County, that the control of it will remain at Commissioner's Court, and then we'll make sure that it gets started in the right direction. Who knows, it may stay there. That's what I would prefer, but then we'll contemplate appointments and things of that nature. But by and far, my commitment is to put that money on the street to create jobs, take care of our area businesses, but specifically make sure that it's going towards our infrastructure. And then lastly, I will tell you that, one of the things that we see all too often, and, when I think about Harris County, the county where Texas was founded, won its independence, where we put the first man on the moon, where we have the first dredged port 50 miles inland from the Galveston Bay as a result of the storm of 1900. The county that has, the greatest enriched diversity in the region, that throughout our community, we see homelessness, and we see these situations in our neighborhoods. We see it under our freeways. We see it in our parks. We see it in downtown Houston, and we see it on the doorsteps of area businesses. We can do better, and we will do better. It's why I am so proud of the historic collaboration between the city of Houston and Harris County. $65 million being put to good work strategically to deal with chronic homelessness on the street and preventing homelessness. And with all the evictions occurring because of the pandemic and the potential to create new homelessness, we cannot allow that to turn into permanent or chronic homelessness. So this collaboration will work together to deal with that and hopefully get us to a place where we're not just pushing homelessness from downtown Houston to the unincorporated areas of Harris County, where I never thought we would see it, but it exists, it's there. And so I'm excited about the opportunity to deal with it comprehensively, make sure that mental health is a process in it, and to ensure that temporary housing is a process of it. But being the former sheriff of Harris County, where we have a significant population that have addresses that are known as Anywhere's USA, which indicates that they're homeless, to ensure that if they are homeless and we know that while they're in the county jail, then why would we just release them to the streets of Harris County so that they can get themselves back into that same trouble and recycle back into the county jail, costing us up to 4 times more money to deal with than if we dealt with them in a strategic, proactive, methodical, holistic way. And so preventing, or rather creating a respite center for the county jail so that we strengthen these individuals and hopefully get them on a better track and at least reduce the amount of time that it takes for them to get to the county jail, back to that street corner that we all saw them at. This is important because it impacts the quality of life in communities. It impacts the quality of life of commercial sectors throughout our area. And again, I just think we can do better at it. So I'm looking forward to seeing that happen. But lastly, Teresa and Carl, and to all of the members of BayTran, I'll say that one of the things I am most excited about recently is that, being a healthcare baby, I remember going to that public clinic or that trailer where I got my shots, where I got my dental work. I cried the whole time while it was happening, but if not for that public healthcare system, I might be in a different state of health today. That's why working with the Baylor College of Medicine to bring the first ever smart pod and what I call here in Precinct 2 SPA to health, because it means smart pod access to health, to Precinct 2. We're the first in the nation to do this. It was a technology and a concept that was invented in Africa by doctors from Baylor College as they were dealing with Ebola. Go figure, another infectious virus. And they came up with this concept that uniquely or interestingly was also validated by NASA. So we brought these smart pods to Precinct 2 because last year when I put more money into public health, the public health department validated the medically underserved areas that we have throughout Harris County, and regretfully, I have many of them in Precinct 2. So we have the first ever smart pod SPA to health in Precinct 2 in the Aldine area, and we're looking to take it to other areas like Highlands and Channelview and other medically underserved areas, because we got to give people access to those healthcare systems so that our economy stays strong, people stay healthy, and that we can prevent them from needing a hospital bed at Bentab or LBJ, especially in these times that those beds at those particular hospitals are ICU beds to deal with COVID-related victims. And so this is our CARES money that we're putting to work, and we're trying to be comprehensive with it. Also, sharing that COVID money with our area cities has been a major priority. So I'm proud of all the cities who have submitted their applications. I think in Precinct 2, we've only had one city who just turned away or declined to submit an application. Fine. We made sure that we're putting it to work in all the other cities. and making sure that we're putting into work in Harris County as well. So with that, Teresa, I think I've covered several things, but I want to remind folks to please visit my website, hcp2.com. Follow us on all of the social media platforms so that you can receive instantaneous updates as to the ongoings of Precinct 2. But with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that your members may have. But thank you again for allowing me to share a few minutes with you.
Sure. Well, before I start with my questions, we've got a question from one of our attendees today, from Bruce Mann from Port Houston. He thanks you for taking your time to be with us today. And Bruce asks, can you provide an update on where we are with the Beltway Bridge replacement and having a new engineer of record?
It's under progress. Yeah, I want to make sure that that bridge stays on track in terms of the timeline proposed for it. So I believe that the last report I got from Peter Key and the Toll Road Authority leadership is that things are progressing very smoothly. And so I'm looking forward to that finally getting buttoned up so that we can move forward and try to make up for lost time.
Okay. Well, that certainly is a huge project for Precinct 2 and for BayTran's region, that, moving goods from the port and to areas around our region. Can you tell me what you think? I mean, you've represented the area as a council member. You're certainly familiar with it as a sheriff and now representing the county. What is the most critical hotspot in terms of the bottlenecks for freight right now that you want to see addressed as soon as possible?
Well, obviously, the Beltway Bridge is one of those areas that we need to see. And having gotten an understanding of it, a better understanding of it from HECTRA, from area engineers, from my own advisors, and from my internal staff, Precinct 2 now has 2 engineers, civil engineers that we previously did not have. So I get a lot of good perspective, and I'm getting my engineering degree as we go every day, as I keep up with all the respective projects. And so those things are, so the Beltway Bridge is obviously critical. We need to ensure that it stays moving forward, and that's why it's important to me. But having learned from the toll bridge, I want to ensure that I-10 gets some much needed attention. We have seen how those pylons seem to have big targets on them by area barges as they move around. So we got to get those pylons out of the water. We got to improve that particular bridge. It's something I spoke to Quincy before he left the Houston office or the Harris County office and went up to Austin. And so I want to make sure that I-10 gets the attention that we're now about to give 225. But I also want to make sure, and been in talking with Roger Gunther over at the Port of Houston, I think the most important thing that is before us is to ensure that we're being as contemporary and forward-looking into freight traffic. It's also one of the reasons why I have been pushing for a very, very comprehensive vision for the port. We built the Beltway A Bridge. Why stop there? We obviously know that our freight needs to have dedicated lanes to move their products and their cargo. And so I want to make sure that we're giving thought, a real serious attention to the possibility of what may be known as a freight shuttle system to ensure that roadways aren't the only way that we move our freight in and out of the Port of Houston. I want to be as contemporary as possible, and I'm challenging my staff, I'm challenging HECTRA, I'm challenging the Port of Houston, that we give that serious thought. And I will tell you this, that as it relates to that particular area and how freight movement looks like in the future, Teresa, what I am proposing and pushing for, I may never get to see done in my lifetime. But that's the kind of project and effort that I want to commit to my role while I'm here to ensure that we are looking as forward into the future as relates, because I believe that singularly, if we don't commit to the same type of effort that we're giving the port in terms of deepening and widening to how we move freight on the land side of the equation, then we will probably hurt ourselves economically. And I don't want to see that happen. As I mentioned, I get calls from commissioners from Beaumont, of all places, from Corpus. The county judge there understands the port well because she was on the port of Corpus Christi. Although I'd still call Nueces County the county of the nuts. And San Diego, Miami, LA, they're all calling saying, hey, we know that you're a little backed up over there. You have some challenges with this Texas chicken thing that you got down there. Send us your business. We're happy to work with you. Hell no, they're not going to get any of our business. We want to keep it right here. And so all of this is why I have a sense of urgency for it.
Great. Well, thank you. And we do have just a couple more questions before we're going to let you go. I know you're pressed for time today. I do have a question from Marcelo Mosier asking if you can give us an update on the proposed schedule for the upcoming 225 connectors, and would there be delays related to the Ship Tunnel Bridge because of that?
You know, I don't think that there's going to be, the connector work is progressing. I don't believe, and those are separate and apart from the bridge itself. So I see no reason why they should be delayed. I'll double check on that, Marcelo. Good to get your question, but I'll double check on that. But I do not foresee any delays on the connectors. And that's why I mentioned 225 is on track and moving along very well. But again, you know, I want to make sure that if there's going to be any delay, it won't be a bad delay. It'll be a good delay, but I don't see any. In terms of a good delay, what a good delay might be is that we want to add to the project to ensure that we're really being comprehensive. And if this refinancing of the toll road occurs, that means that the precincts will all have another source of funding to do more infrastructure projects. So my commitment on East Harris County is to ensure that our freight traffic isn't impeded by having to navigate with commuter traffic. I can't tell you how many times I go deep into my precinct just to see 18-wheelers parked alongside I-10 or 225, trying to take that same exit that everybody else is trying to take. We can do better. We got to figure that out. And so all of this has my commitment to stay on track, move forward, and if possible, expand to other concepts like dedicated freight lanes.
Great, thank you. And last question from Jake McGee wants to know if you can give us an update on the El Dorado Boulevard work.
As far as I know, it's moving along nicely. I will double check with my staff, but the last update that I got, things have been approved and we're moving along. I know the community is excited about it, and nothing that I can recall at the time indicates that there's any problems. Things are moving along nicely with the El Dorado project.
Fantastic. All right, Carl, do you have any remarks before we wrap up? Oh, you're on mute. Carl, you're muted.
Sorry. Commissioner, I think you really did a good job of covering it today, and we really appreciate you taking time to visit with us. Lots of stuff going on in your area, and that 225 and getting on the Beltway and et cetera. I've taken that many a time, and it sure would be nice just to veer off and enjoy that without having to go through that process there. So anyway, thanks so much, and I guess we will adjourn.
All right. Thank you all very much. God bless everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. One more thing to wrap it up. Just thank you to our sponsors for today. We have BGE and Civil Tech. We appreciate your support, especially during these difficult times. Thank you for being with us, and you all have a great week. Thank you.